Welcome to the Real Estate Market Minute. I'm here every Wednesday to break down what's happening in the housing market and what it actually means for you. No jargon, no fluff, just the data. This week, we've got a lot to cover: record-breaking price declines, a record share of sellers offering concessions, a national shift in who holds the leverage, a fresh weekly snapshot of inventory, and where rents stand heading into summer. Let's get into it. Let's start with pricing, because this one's a big deal. The national median asking price fell 2.5% year over year in June, down to $430,000. That's the steepest annual decline in Realtor.com's data history, which goes back to 2017, and it's the 8th straight month prices have fallen. Here's the interesting part though: days on market held flat at 53 days compared to a year ago. That's the first time in over 2 years that homes haven't taken longer to sell than the year before. Pending sales also rose 3.7% year over year, the 7th straight month of growth. What we're seeing on the ground is that sellers are pricing their homes more realistically from day one instead of listing high and cutting later. That's a sign of a healthier, more functioning market. Next, let's talk about concessions. In May, sellers offered buyers concessions in 46.2% of home sales, up from 43.1% a year earlier, and the highest share on record for that month, according to Redfin. Quick definition for anyone new here: a concession is something like money toward repairs, closing costs, or a mortgage rate buy-down. It's different from just lowering the list price. Nationally, there are about 47% more sellers than buyers right now, and that imbalance is giving buyers real room to negotiate for these kinds of extras. It's worth understanding how concessions typically work before you sit down at the negotiating table, whether you're buying or selling. You might remember a few years back when sellers held all the power and buyers were offering way over asking just for a shot at a house. In many markets, those days are behind us. Back in 2021, nearly all major metros, 98%, were considered sellers' markets. By the end of 2025, only about 1 in 3 still favored sellers, according to Realtor.com. That's a real shift. That said, this varies enormously by region, so what's true nationally isn't necessarily true in your specific neighborhood. Local conditions can look really different from the national headlines. Talking with a local agent is the best way to understand what's actually happening on your street. Zooming into this week's numbers specifically, single-family active inventory nationally rose to 852,241 listings as of July 6th, according to Altos Research. At the same time, the new listing median price fell to $425,000, down from $430,000, and almost 40% of single-family listings now carry a recent price cut. Median days on market held steady at 56 days. Altogether, this points to a market where sellers need to be more disciplined about pricing right out of the gate. Last but not least, let's talk rentals. The national median rent rose 0.4% month over month in June to $1,385, the 5th straight monthly increase since February per C.A.R. On a year-over-year basis, rent is still down 1.2%, though that's the smallest annual dip in 6 months, and rent remains 4% below its August 2022 peak. Here in California specifically, San Francisco and San Jose actually ranked first and second nationally for year-over-year rent growth, with Fresno rounding out the top 10. So, to sum it all up, prices are cooling at a record pace, concessions are at record highs, the national balance of power keeps tilting toward buyers, weekly inventory keeps climbing, and rents are ticking up slowly this summer, with California leading some of the growth. As always, everything we cover here is for general informational purposes only. It's not legal, financial, or professional advice. If you want to talk through what any of this means for your own move, give us a call, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, and LinkedIn for a new Market Minute every Wednesday. Drop your questions in the comments. I read every one of them, and I might even cover your question in a future episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Wednesday.